Welcome everybody to All About the Orville episode 5. And if you're here for the first time, this is where we go back and read the comments on the previous episode right before the new episode airs. So this is episode 5, and it being a time travel episode, I knew the comments are going to be, because when you throw time travel in, there's so many different ways to look at it. Variables and everything. So we always start with the top comments, and then I just move my way down. Yeah. So we're starting out with I am Bubbleflish so high. Time travel in this episode. They destroyed the anomaly in that specific point in time, which means anything related to time travel through that anomaly that happened after that moment did not happen. Priya and everything she brought with her, that object in Mercer's desk, or individual quarks of atoms of oxygen in her lungs, everything never went through that anomaly. Hence, nothing in this episode ever happened. Her fading away makes no sense. She never traveled through that anomaly because it did not exist when she was born. No one should have had any memories of this. So either she lied about them dying in that dark matter storm, or destruction of the anomaly erased enough events in history caused by Priya and other travelers, no matter how insignificant, to make them survive, or maybe even not get into any trouble at all. Yeah, because they blew it up in their time. So would that anomaly never existed in the future? So how doid she ever go back and do other things?
Here's the thing. Well, all you have to do to explain all this is say, well, we got some of your time thing and put it on their equivalent torpedoes, quantum torpedoes that went in the past, destroyed it before you even got here. That would have solved everything.
But I think we get like this time travel stuff. It's just that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Because, how could she have ever traveled if it blew up in Mercer's time? Yeah. What would have been better is as they were escaping, they shot torpedoes that were following them, so when they went through, it blew up on her side.
Yeah, in the future.
Yeah, so it died in the future instead of in the past.
But again, it still happened presently. It wasn't in the past. That's the problem.
Exactly.
So their past being the future at that point.
Time travel.
Yeah.
But this thread goes on for a while, because that's very interesting. I didn't even think about that. We got, in the same thread, Scoldworm. Priya probably lied at that current point in time. The Orville is not that famous. Why would a collector want it? My guess, some event in the future, the Orville gets famous but gets destroyed. But this event probably changed that now. But, you know, the way, because we did talk about this, like, it's like someone who collects classic cars. Some people may want a very specific classic car.
Or some guy, Model T.
Or a guy who just wants a 64 Mustang. He doesn't care where it came from or anything like that. So maybe a collector just wants it for that.
Because I have to equate it to, like, their version of the cars, and that time would be ships. So that's why I'm taking that parallel.
Or there's people out there that collect military type stuff and everything. And someone, I want one from this regiment at this time. And some guy's like, I just want an old musket.
Well, equivalent of that is there's an episode on Deep Space Nine when O'Brien went to Terra Nor with his crew. And this, I think it was Bichetti was the name of the instant, whatever, was getting a crewman, was getting all these Cardassian insignias. He liked all those, like collecting them.
So again, this goes on for a little while because there's a lot of people bouncing ideas back and forth, which is awesome. This is why I love this community for Orville, that we're thinking about stuff. So we got Josh Ricketts. So it was Priya's ploy to plant new technology on the Orville so it would survive, say, season finale, and right after that snatch the Orville to make it more famous, I guess. Or maybe they know something about the Orville that has to survive. Or temporal stuff, like we have no idea. Maybe there's so many.
Why don't she explain it instead of saying I'm selling it to you?
She's not supposed to. Maybe she can't show her hand or whatever. See, it's so there's so much but why give them all that extra information? Then they're going to be constantly thinking about it.
Wouldn't have been funny, then why on the other side I want it to be Union ships then? Why is it this one strange alien with an alien tree?
See, we have but what if there's some great ally in the Union?
Maybe.
In the future? See, there's so much we don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Skullworm responds, if she stole the Orville from that specific moment in history, it wouldn't get famous in the future, which means it would be just another ship from the era, aka worthless, and she wouldn't have any reason to steal it. This would make sense only if she stole it between points in time where the Orville had already become famous, but did not get destroyed yet. It's one of those things, because once she took it out of that time, unless there's always that whole thing of, like, every time you time travel, you create a parallel universe. So, maybe the Orville did exist and became famous and got stolen from the past because it made a tangent.
Well, maybe everyone at that time in history can see alternate timelines.
Yeah.
You can see, it would have been. So maybe they still get to be famous and they take the ship. I know we're starting to go a little bit outside the realm of it, but time travel, there's so many different variables. So I can go on and on.
I think it's F Cool D. I think that's how you say this.
F Cool D,
Yeah, FCOLD.
Almost fully coolly, but not quite.
You're an idiot. That the Orville isn't famous would make it worthless. Maybe something in putting together a collection of Union ships from the period. The Orville is one of those ships of the Discovery class, I guess. So this is less like collecting baseball cards and more like collecting cars. A car collector may have an old Corvette, but it doesn't have to be the first Corvette or the one owned by a famous person. Just a Corvette that came off the assembly line in the time frame he was looking for. Yeah, that's what we just said.
Yeah,
because
I picked up on that.
When it comes to collectors and people who collect all kinds of things, some people get very specific. They want to know what region, what time, what workers worked on it. They want everything.
But I usually have to do like an autograph of a particular person or a particular time and moment of something. But usually when it comes to vehicles, they just want the vehicle.
I think the person who was trying to buy the Orville wanted to take to Rick's pawn shop and see how much this thing is worth. Anyway, let's make a deal here. The Intergalactic pawn shop.
Chumley will help me. The Chumley of the 29th century. He looks just the same too.
That'd be great. David Rightbridge? It is possible that they would have missed the dark matter storm originally. The act of rescuing her pulled them off course and may have what put them on the trajectory to encounter it. If they never met prior, they never took that detour. Exactly. So them even going out of their way might have put them in that storm. So why would they have been destroyed by that?
That's weird.
Yeah, because there's so many...
I'm trying to remember in the episode, were they specifically going at that point because she told them to?
Yeah, no. She goes, oh, we got a distress signal from that mining ship. And then like, oh, we're pretty close. We can go out of our way.
Or maybe something worse was going to happen to Orville and they would have got destroyed.
Yeah.
See, we don't know.
So, Renee Cousins, perhaps a quantum drive prevented the ship from being reset. See, there's so many variables. We don't know how time travel works in the Orville.
Yeah.
We just got left with more answers. Reverse that. More questions, less answers.
Yeah.
Reverse, go back, flip it. So, again, we could probably talk about this forever because the time travel is so crazy. So, starting a whole brand new topic, we have Cute Nerd. I like Set This Captain. This is one of my favorite shows. Again, it's so funny. People seem to like Captain Mercer, and some people really dislike Seth MacFarlane as the captain. I think they're seeing too much of Seth MacFarlane and not enough of Captain Mercer.
I think he takes the role serious enough where, yeah, he'll have his little blend of humor every now and then, but by and large, he takes it seriously.
Because I bet you somewhere in Seth MacFarlane's mind, there's like a 13-year-old boy who's jumping up and down saying, I'm on a sci-fi show and I'm a captain of a ship.
Yeah, especially a Star Trek type show. And I know, and Crimson mentioned this before in the first episode, you can see his look on his face in the launch. I think that's
smile. That was a genuine smile.
Like, I'm doing this. I get to live out my dream. And we get to see this dream, and I think it's written and it's really done really well.
So, Jeffrey Grime. Nice episode. Reminded me of John Verley's Millennium, a time travel novel. I can accept that a wormhole existed and connected to an alternate future until it was destroyed by the Orville. Once it was destroyed, that created a new future, erasing the original. Yes, it's a paradox. I hate those, and they make my brain hurt. Now, to start an argument with all the time casualty nerds, prior disappearing was a mistake. That implies she never came back in time in the first place, so the Orville would not have been destroyed by the dark matter field. The Orville would have been destroyed by the dark matter field. If they were going to destroy the wormhole, they should have first sent her back to her time in a shuttle. If they bring back her matter transmitter, I'm really going to call foul. One small nitpick, and otherwise a solid episode. Yeah, exactly.
That's what we were thinking.
We're like, oh, just put her on a shuttle, send her back through the thing and blow it up. That would instead of her just fading away.
Yeah, exactly. That's just weird. Like, why would that happen? And when he's talking about this movie Millennium, what happens is in the future they will take people right with a deck disc before they're supposed to die, and they put them to the future. See, what happened? A plane was about to crash, so they took it and it brought it in the far future. So it's similar to what these. Yeah,
except for she was selling it, but it's basically the same concept.
But the same thing, and then a bunch of robots in the movie. It's a good movie, Millennium. You should watch. A little out there, but it's not bad.
So, in the same thread, we got F Cool D. Yeah, but there was a couple of possible resolutions to this. One, maybe she could have only projecting an avatar through, and the teleporter device could have had a temporal shield on it. Well, yeah, we didn't think of that. So, it could stay, but her transmitter was cut off. Having changed time, she could have created a parallel universe, and there was some sort of failsafe in the transmitter system that dragged her back to her quantum reality where the shift happened. But the teleporter should also go, which it's suspected that it didn't. Also, as far as we know, the wormhole can reform itself at some point in the future, but she should also still be trapped unless there's a failsafe somehow. So that would go like she comes back in time using the wormhole. Orville destroys the wormhole. 100 years later, the wormhole reforms, allowing her and the others to travel through the wormhole, except for the blacked out period between the Orville incident and the reforming of the wormhole. Perhaps there's other wormholes no one knows and even aware of yet that the failsafe finds and to reestablish a connection to pull Pariah back, like the wormholes, jumping gates in SG-1. In the Star Trek book I read once, I believe it was Geordi that said, thinking about time travel makes my nose bleed. I'm very curious of what the rules are in this universe. Hopefully Seth put some thought into it, knowing how geeky sci-fi fans can get. Like I said, like that temporal tether that would know that is collapsing and pull her through. Yeah. But they never said anything.
Oh yeah, I want to comment. These comments are amazing. Make it sound like maybe these comments are too good for our show. I think they're amazing.
You guys are great. When I knew there was a time travel episode, I'm like, oh, we're going to get juicy stuff. That is thinking out there, because again, I brought up the temporal tether, but also the whole idea of, what if the wormhole somehow reforms? What if there's a race that knows how to make wormholes? Maybe it's just
we don't know.
We don't know.
I mean, maybe that would... The only thing I could explain the technology being that they're outside of time, like a temporal thing. But how convenient is that? Oh, now we get the transporters. Thanks, guys. I know.
So, but the whole thing of her projecting an avatar thing like that, but then she, like, the whole time was a projection... So then Jeffrey Grimm says, Ed had sex with an avatar. Ew, I'll give this episode points for getting us all debating. Pretty good for the comedy that the critics wore off before it even premiered. And that's the thing, like, that's some kind of like...
I know, right? But it's funny, though, when you think about it, if they did do that, it would make sense because she did put her life on the line. I mean, she could have easily died. I mean, on that thing. But if this is a hologram, it wouldn't matter.
But she also said, well, none of us were in any real danger. Remember she said that? Because I bet you her teleport device would have took him off the ship.
Probably.
Yeah, so she was probably had it in her back pocket thinking, okay, save me, okay. You're not
they're going like, how's this minor have this? And then their gig would have been up.
Yeah, it would have been right from the very beginning. She would have had to have, like, took over the ship or whatever. Yeah. Same thread, Neben Adams. I love how the Star Trek parody homage is creating those great discussions about time travel, while SCD's plot sounds like a traveling band of unruly truffle hunters. Yeah, pretty much. I just uploaded our review episode of episode 4.
Yeah.
And it's a little itty bitty tiny bit better because there's a lot more science in this episode, but it's still a bunch of jerks.
You're first.
a bunch of jerks on a ship that everyone treats like crap. And again, like we said in the very beginning, the homage to Trek has the soul of it. Yeah. The literally actual energy that is Trek is in the Orville, and Star Trek just has the body and it's an empty shell.
Yeah, it's a corpse already. They just don't realize the body's dead. That's what it is. That's what it feels like.
Dead man walking. Yeah. So we got Decan 74. So if Pariah never showed up to divert the mining colony, would they have died? Or did Pariah lie about everything? Yeah, other people brought that up. Another one. It's like, because technically them going to save her did bring them off course a little bit. Mm-hmm. So was it just a big setup? Like she knew that she had to pull them away a little bit? And the whole
dangerous gamble, though.
But the thing is, if you have a roadmap of all the things, it's the whole Back to the Future. You knew the lightning was going to hit the building, so you know how to set up for it.
Yeah, that's true.
So Timothy Neeson. So when the leg fell through the ceiling, it was bigger than half the leg Malloy had, which means Isaac cut too much and regenerated the part of his leg back while he was sleeping. So probably had a moment where he thought, oh, too much, let's cut it down a little bit. And he hit it in the guest quarters like a scavenger hunt. I have to admit, knowing he could regrow it, funny as hell practical joke. I was laughing after he knew he could regrow it. Very funny. Love the show. I really like that they had the moral idea of destroying the wormhole. Could you imagine the horrible things you could come back in time? Also, he kind of killed his rebound. Awesome episode. Very funny parts. Love the both practical jokes with Isaac and Malloy. Well done. Also, her tech is gone now, so you can't use that. Love you guys in your reviews. You do. Well done.
Well, let's hope. Who knows?
Who knows if, again, it's so weird. Why did he put it in his desk? If it was out on the counter on his table and it all disappeared, it would solve all his problems.
A little better.
But I'm pretty sure Seth MacFarlane knew, hey, if I hide this thing, but why do that?
Well, there's a thing about it, though. The only regret about this episode, and as much as I did love it, I wish it was a later episode, like maybe even another season from now, because if we don't even know the world of Orville yet, and now the future world, it's like, I want to know that, but I want to know this world first.
Yeah, the current timeline that they're in, let
I don't
alone
even know everything, what's
future
in the future.
Timeline.
So it's like, it makes even more, I mean, maybe that's a good thing, but kind of like I want to know this past.
But yeah, the greatest.
Yeah.
But you go back to the comedy because the greatest practical joke of all time. Wait, someone on your ship is sleeping and they just go to lop their leg off.
I love when the leg falls down. They're all looking at each other like, "Oh, this is awkward."
Just never mind the big hairy leg that's over there.
Like, how did you guys get that? I think what's going on this ship? What is this?
A bunch of psychos. So, SJ Piece 1776. This episode is hard to judge because it set up a lot of possibilities that could be revisited that you touched on. Maybe the crew learned the prime timeline is a dark one because they didn't die and they can prevent an event being a time anomaly that is impossible to account for. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Maybe there was another alternative motive that she had to save them.
Maybe.
But then she would have had to have set them up for them to get back through the wormhole. But again, who knows? Maybe this one big giant setup, and we don't know.
Maybe she already saw this outcome ahead of time. Because she could just go, I mean, maybe she's a way to go a little bit in the future. I don't know, because it's already happened in the past, right? So wouldn't she know? Let's see, you're getting all these weird little parallels. But
and in the same little thread here, we have Ruben Claus. The prime timeline turns out to be a bitter, cynical place full of wonky perspective, unlikable characters, blinding lights, constantly assaulting your eyes. I think this is a reference to Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, we're getting some Star Trek comments here. I mean, the first one could even be considered Trek, but this definitely is a Star Trek comment.
Okay, from F Cool D. This is a long one, so here we go. Post is too long due to Sci-Fi. I have two nitpicks in this episode. Like you said, why does the super strong security chief in Bortus just stand around while the first officer's in a fight on the bridge? I mean, maybe Bortus has some don't interfere in personal combat thing going on, but the chief could have ended the fight in 2 seconds. Yeah, exactly.
Just grab both of them.
She could have conked her. Shut up, everyone stop fighting. Like how like a mom and two toddlers are fighting. Yeah. You just pull them apart. Like,
what are you doing? Just pick them up. Okay, we're going now.
It's like, it would have been funny that you just show Laura kind of go in there to try to stop him. And she's like, no, she's mine. You know, like, let him have this little combat.
That would have been funny.
I think it was done just because we wanted to see these two characters because her animosity for Pariah was building. So it's kind of like, let her get it out.
I first got fooled by this lady, you know, that whole kind of thing going on.
So, to continue on in their comment. The second is based on a personal theory on time travel, based on lots of sci-fi shows, but actually maybe resolved with this version of time travel. The more I think about it, since she traveled to the past and the change occurred that it would affect her future, she has effectively created a new timeline, alternate universe from her timeline. They destroyed the wormhole. This should leave her stranded in the timeline in the / new reality. Unless another version of herself existed in which, in case she would suffer quantum cascade failure and be absorbed into the other of her, and there can only be one. There's a Highlander reference there. Okay. However, since she didn't use the ship to travel through time, maybe her teleporter thing had a failsafe that dragged her back to her reality as the wormhole collapsed. Or perhaps she was only projecting some type of interface that ceased when the wormhole was closed. Returning to her own reality, nothing has actually changed. She now has an unhappy customer and a business partner as the wormhole that they used is now closed. They could seek alternate routes and travel back, and we could into the future, into a vengeful version of her later. At the same time, there's a new future in this reality that were different from the version of her may exist and would know nothing of the events. Yeah, because literally every second that they were alive and existing, it's a new timeline.
Yeah.
Because who's to say the Orville just goes off and it has no effect on anything? What if they go and do some great thing that changes the war with the Krill? And so again, that's why I kind of thought of the tangent timelines. So when she goes back, she went back to her version of that future, while the Orville diverted and it's on a different timeline now.
There's another thing I was going to mention. When they're talking about how she disappeared. Well, I know they took away. What if she had a second transporter and that's how she got off the ship? That would explain so much if she was still stuck in the time.
But she literally faded away, and when she used the transporter the other time, it had like a light effect.
Maybe. I know, maybe that's the reason why they took the transporter from her. So let's say she didn't transport away. But I'm just hoping that would solve a lot of problems too.
So we have a third paragraph. Same comment. Basically, you cannot really alter the future. Just create a new timeline that runs parallel to the original timeline. A person can go back in time and save a loved one, but they wouldn't get the benefit of the alternate version of them would get the benefit. The time traveler would either return to where they came from where nothing has changed, die by being absorbed into the other version of themselves, or discard the quantum cascade theory, as they would have to live in a shadow or murder the other version of himself. Therefore, you can't really change the past, but you can change the future if somehow you got knowledge of the future. However, that's a tricky proposition too, since you may not know if your knowing is what caused it to take the actions, like what caused whatever you wanted to avoid to happen. In the case of the argument of the future altered the futures, but that future never really this Orville's future, because she changed it. But maybe that's my theory, and I realize that there's other theories. You know what? There was a game called Quantum Break on the Xbox, where the idea of time travel is you get a message that goes back in time and tells you, hey, there was an egg on the table, make sure you don't break it. So you're like, oh man, I better get home and check on it. You run the door, you bump the table, and that's why it broke.
Causality.
So the idea of
everything you did, you caused.
So if you never would have got that message from the future, maybe you never would have went in there and broke your egg.
It's causality.
Yeah, like the whole idea of the cascade effect. So once you go into the future, your body would dissolve into the future that you created.
Or you just disappear and fade, and the other.
Yeah, or there is another you walking around, and you. There's always that theory of that if you travel through time, you start to exist outside of time.
Well, what's weird about that, usually that seems to be more of a mechanic when you go in the past.
Yeah.
As opposed to future,
so,
but that could happen.
It's really funny, though, because we don't know, no one can time travel, or we don't know anyone time travel.
Well, I mean, it is theoretical, we just don't want you to do it.
There was another thing that you said that brought up another thing. You more anime fans, we love anime. In Dragon Ball Z, there's a character named Trunks, who everyone gets killed, so he goes back in the past to save everyone. He does that. He goes back to his future. Everyone's still dead because he saved everyone in that timeline's future. But his original timeline, nothing changed.
Yeah, because he didn't save those people.
But he went back and saved someone.
Yeah,
that wasn't his version of the people he loved and cared about. It was their version.
Well, yeah, if we're speaking about other shows and parallels, like in The Flash, what happened is that he would bring people from the past that already got erased from history to help things, but by doing so, that other things still existed. So it was kind of like a remnant of themselves, of the other character they saved. So it gets a really complicated. Like maybe that's what happened here. Maybe it's like another copy of that person. That's another thing I'm just thinking of right now. Maybe the other lady had another copy of herself. I don't know, like a time thing.
Yeah, there's so much to go on that. There's so many different versions of time travel.
Remulant.
But it's cool. I think you have a pretty great theory. I think all the cascade effect, all that stuff is possible.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's so vast, it can just go on and on.
So in the same little thread here, we have Dave Free. My theory on the fight between the two ladies at the end. They were taking B. I mean, ready to step in for their exact loss. Yeah, and then there's another comment after that by Francisco Cavio. I think it's fan service. Two hot chicks fighting, a win-win scenario for the guys. Is that really why it happened? Probably.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure, but I'm gonna go ahead and just check off on that. Yeah, that's probably why that happened. So Josh Seton. The Orville is currently my favorite TV show, and you guys are my favorite reviewers of The Orville, so thank you for that, all that you do. My only real criticism of the episode is the fact that Pride disappeared. I honestly think the real reason it happened is because Charlize Theron is a high-profile guest star that is more than likely won't be able to come back for another episode due to her busy schedule, so they needed her to stop existing in the show's current timeline. And I don't think that the writers were all that concerned with the science behind it work, since there isn't really any known data for how time travel actually works, and they know fans will come up with an ingenious solutions to make it work. I just think they should have sent her through the wormhole on a shuttle or something, then destroyed the wormhole. I think that would have been easier to explain.
Or arrest her and put her in custody with
and
she's
just stuck on that side.
Yeah, she's stuck into some union prison. Could have just did that too.
But I think he came up with the greatest theory of all time because they couldn't afford it. It's the same theory why none of the X-Men showed up in the Deadpool movie.
I want to say thank you for liking our podcast.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, you think we're your best. I'm really
we like talking to all you guys and responding to your comments. It's really fun. It's fun for us.
Yep.
Patrick Fluke. It's fun to speculate a bit, but in the end, I think the best not to overthink time travel plots. You know, to save money on brain cells. Seeing Charlize Theron clearly having fun playing her part was quite enjoyable. But man, did I have fun with the Isaac Malloy subplot. So much to do with that. To stop for a minute and think about it and laughing at Malloy's ultimate fate made me a bad person. As you see, laughing at someone who's missing a leg, but the fact that he can grow it back, it makes it less.
I know it's so funny when I saw it. I know there's gonna be a way to get his leg back.
I thought they were gonna be able just to basically human melded back.
No, but they just make a new one.
They just said it'd be easier just to grow another one.
Yeah.
Get a new leg. But yeah, the comedy worked really well, and Charlize Theron, she owned this character.
Oh yeah, she did.
She took it seriously, and she also had fun at the same time.
That's the best. That's how you do it, you know.
And Jim Capolino, Star Trek Discovery, what the hell are you thinking? You place the series on a streaming service and we have to watch it on tablets or phones. And I didn't pay enough money for cable service, so I can enjoy it on a big screen TV and sound. I'm staying with the Orville, and I love it in a way I never expected it. And it's free. Orville is, so far, well done and humorous. Visual, impressive entertainment. Move it to another night. You'll never compete with money ML football. Not everyone has DVR. Discovery, go yourselves. I hope you fall on your asses. Well, here's the thing. Discovery, again, doing that whole streaming service, I think it's just a way to make a show fail.
Yeah.
I know Netflix has that, but Netflix is Netflix.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I heard a lot of backstory. The only reason why they're doing it is Paramount was going to lose the rights to Star Trek.
There's a lot of weird, I want to say, backroom money changing that made Discovery the way it is.
Yeah. So they could keep the rights. Well, that's not the reason why you make a show. You make it because you have a good idea. You don't do it because you want to keep the rights to a property. But
yeah, and the thing about, again, man, DVR is a lifesaver for me. I probably wouldn't watch half the shows if it wasn't for DVR. But moving on, we have Cross. I think the Orville ship designs could use one less back crescent. Like, get rid of it to the top one and keep the last two. Look at the beginning picture in the video. It makes it look much sleeker. The thing is that there was, in the shipyard, I'm pretty sure I saw Orville-style ship that only had two little loops on the back.
But I like the 3. I like the 3 because especially when they started the warp, their permanent warp drive, it goes zoom, zoom. The light goes across all 3, and then it goes.
It makes a cool noise. I think it has 3 because it shows you that it's a faster traveling ship.
Yeah,
and I like the cylindrical design. It's very smooth. It reminds me again the way that I remember you were telling me earlier that they use real models.
Yeah.
And they get a camera and they pan by the model and then they add the effects around it. That's exactly how they used to do it in Next Generation.
Yeah, that's why it makes it awesome.
So that's why I love the designs.
And I also like about the designs, the feeling I get now we're talking about designs of the ship, it feels like all ships, they get one advantage over some ships that don't have other advantages. It doesn't seem like Star Trek where there's some ships that don't have anything good. Like maybe these ships are the faster ships and the
more war type ships.
Warships are going to have more weapons and armor. Like that's cool. That's what it feels like.
I would like to see some more Orville ships, more Union ships.
I think we will. We will. I'm pretty sure there'll be a big battle somewhere in this series. Not just the first episode like some series.
We have Navy and Adams. Star Trek is dead. Long live Star Trek. Make mine Orville. And I wonder if that's a play on the make mine a milkshake thing. But
maybe.
Yeah. The thing is, the real true science show that has a bit of humor lives in the Orville. And if you want the dark, gritty, down in the muck in the trenches type show, you have Discovery.
I think Star Trek in its current form, it's not looking good. But Star Trek as a whole, it always will be around. But it's taking a beating. I'm not going to lie. It's taking a beating from this new show. It's a bad show. We have Psychotic Productions. Yeah, the ending was kind of a big, When it comes to time travel stories, I prefer either closed-looped or multiple timelines. All or nothing. Other versions tend to fall apart if you look too closely. That being said, I think it would have been cool if the next episode starts with the same Seinfeld watching scene as this one, except for they didn't get the distress call, miss the storm, and go off and do something else, assuming that Pryor lied to them and getting destroyed. That would be interesting if they did do that. I don't think they're going to do that, but that would be pretty cool to show you that none of it happened. Yeah, and they could just show the other parts that we didn't see on the ship that day.
Yeah, however that day would have went, we get to see how it would have went.
Exactly.
That'd be cool. That'd be a cool idea. I highly doubt that's what they'll do.
But that would also be cool. Because then say, did the dark matter thing destroy him then? Because apparently it didn't. If it doesn't, then she was lying that whole time. Well,
here's the thing, though. What if, I just thought of this just right now, she put that little box on the ship and it was just projecting a fake storm. And they thought they were in a storm and there was never a storm at all. And then it had control of the ship so it could make it shake and do everything.
Maybe.
So maybe it was all just a setup.
A lie. Wow.
I literally just thought
that's that's probably one of the greatest points I've seen on this podcast made by one of the hosts. That's awesome.
There you go. So that was actually, I just thought of what if that little box.
But how did he destroy the communications array?
Just shut it down, make it look
maybe.
Look, it's down. It just short circuited or whatever.
Maybe.
That's kind of cool. I just thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, that's a good way to explain it away too. Yeah. So we have Transit Engineer. One thing that makes the Orville a good science fiction show is that they present old ideas and themes, but a new packaging. This episode used the same plot as the movie Millennium, where people were going to be killed, i.e. engine failure, bad weather, while traveling on major airline flights and were taken to safe by humans for their future. Yeah, another guy brought up that. Yeah, Millennium. You brought up the novel and you bring up the movie, but yeah, same concept.
Yeah. Go
back, save the people. No one would be the wiser. Because, it blew up over the ocean and everyone was dead.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, even in this day and age, airliners still disappear. And there's no trail. Again, like what happened in Malaysia, that whole plane just
disappeared. 2 planes disappeared in 1 year, actually.
Yeah, so it's super. Again, those things still kind of do happen. Random username Colin. Did anyone else get the feeling that the Union didn't exist in that future? Maybe prior and by her time, there was no Union anymore. Maybe it got dissolved or destroyed through war.
Maybe, who knows? That would be... See, again, but I want to know about this present before I know about their future.
And that would make the Orville valuable because it came from an old military or whatever.
So I didn't even think about that. That's a great point. I think that's a really solid point there, Random. I really think you really hit it nail on an interesting possibility. Why you made it valuable? It didn't matter what kind because there's none of them left.
So that's what makes it worth that much more.
And maybe these are the new gatekeepers. Look, I know we're thinking too much into it, but that is a great point.
Tyler X2F01. As for the line thing, I'm calling it that Mercer isn't supposed to be the actual captain of the Orville. It's supposed to be Grayson. But she pulled some strings to make it look like the one admiral gave command to Mercer. And had Dr. Finn pull some BS story that she was medically unfit for command, which would have bumped First Officer Mercer into the captain's chair. And she did it so to make up for the whole cheating thing. That threw his career and life into disaster. That cost him his captain opportunity in the first place. And her motivation for doing so to get her husband back because his goal of becoming a captain was the roadblock to their marriage in the first place. And in the show, you can tell they still care for each other. But now that he is actually a captain, their own relationship is much stronger and closer than before. Despite the lie being formed to make Mercer captain temporarily happy, the long con started way before even they arrived on the ship. That could be a theory, but I do remember people do in the comments here in the next ones that that Admiral guy's like, oh, I'm doing this because I owe your father so much. So maybe it was like that, calling in that big favor,
I'm sure.
I'm calling in all the favors, giving this spot or whatever.
But I think they're realizing Mercer's actually a good captain.
Yeah, but I think eventually he's starting to earn his role there, but maybe he was put there as a lie in the beginning, but he earned it later.
Yeah.
So I bet you that would piss him off because you can tell Captain Mercer does not being lied to.
Yeah, that's a big
man. He does not like that. So if you were to ever find, if this is actually the case in your theory here, and that's true, man.
They did talk about it in the first episode, so
yeah, but she's saying that she was supposed to get the Orville,
maybe,
and she kind of gave it to him instead. So maybe that would be strange. And then Decan74 said, I think Kelly's dad pulled some favors in because of the conversation at the end of the episode 1 where the Admiral mentions her dad. So yeah, that's things like, oh, I knew him and I owe him a favor. Jerry Berglund. Charlize Theron really looks like Amanda tapping Samantha Carter from Stargate, and I wonder if the red-black uniform was inspired by the TNG uniforms.
Yeah,
let's think. Who directed this episode? Oh, Jonathan Frakes, and then she's wearing a red and black uniform. Let's think about that.
Yeah,
it's totally a thing for Next Generation, and I thought it was great.
That was a great homage. I love it.
See, it has that look.
It shows they show affection for Star Trek. They don't hate Star Trek.
No,
they love Star Trek.
And they don't want it like, oh, we're making fun of it. No, they honestly love it.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
The difference. Yeah.
So we have Celophanity Frog. The end is a paradox. If the wormhole being destroyed makes it so it never existed, which doesn't make sense, then Pryor never would have gone back, and they would have all been killed in the dark matter nebula. If Pryor disappeared then the thing in Mercer's desk should have also disappeared. If it had one problem with the show is that it's quick resolutions that usually don't make much sense. The reality TV being given to the Corallians? Those red guys, remember?
Yeah.
The tree being beamed onto the krill ship, then destroying the wormhole, the lowering of the sunroof on the bio ship, that was sent them all into hysteria. It's something I think we would have to get used to. Their resolution to problems not making a whole lot of sense. I can deal with it since I love everything else about the show. We're getting some fabulous guest stars in the last 2 episodes, and Jonathan Frakes directed this episode. You can really see that in the modulated, the deflectors line, and a few other places. See that again, like the quick resolutions. I think they're trying to make each episode self-contained.
Yeah, they don't want to. I bet you we will get 2 parts, but maybe towards the season we'll have a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
between seasons.
Like we brought up in the review while we were watching, we're like, "There's 3 minutes left in the show. How are they going to wrap this thing up?"
Yeah.
And again, it was a quick resolution, just making her disappear.
I don't want to bring another show because nothing to do with it, but when you think about it, it's like the Matlock effect. Okay, we have a trial. We got to get this done, okay?
Yeah, somehow you arrest the guy, get him the trial, and convict it all
in an hour. Yeah, one day, yeah.
These things take months and months and months.
Yeah, exactly.
In the same thread here, we have a random username Colin. I think Pryor made them change course. It is a common time travel story where the time travel is the one caused to motivate them to time travel. Yeah, like the actual person coming back is what caused everything in the first place.
Yeah.
But why? How would they have gone back if it never happened in the first place?
Paradox.
Yeah, it's that paradox. Then we have Alan Grimes. I did the math. 10 light years an hour, 87,600 C. Picard warp was 4.94. Kirk 44.4. Kirk used a geometric scale. Picard used an exponential scale. So I guess this guy's saying that it basically comes out to about warp 4, almost warp 5. Their quantum drives.
Oh, just when they're at warp 1?
Well, I think I guess at max at 10 light years an hour is warp 5.
Okay.
Is it? See, I don't know the math. I'm going to trust you, Alan Grimes, here, because I honestly don't know the math of all this. I suck at math.
Yeah, because I saw it because I know this. I've seen theories on YouTube like the different light levels. Like they go from the old series to the new one. It changes. So I know what you're talking about. I just don't get all the science behind it because I'm not a real math guy. So
warp 5, but again, you also have to remember that the Orville is just kind of mid to low level ship. So I'm assuming the bigger ships have bigger, faster engines too.
Yeah, but that I don't think that's even their top speed.
Yeah.
So it could probably go a lot faster than that.
Jeffrey Grimes said, actually, go back a comment. Lieutenant Joker. So basically they have warp 5 engines. What scale did Archer use? See, every series kind of had its own little way of scaling how fast they go, and I don't really think they thought about it too much, but we know how fans are. We got to know everything.
Well, Archer's ship top speed was 5.
Was 5 warp 5?
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess, let's have a race. Orville versus the Enterprise. So, we have Jeffrey Grimes here. Seth MacFarlane, time travel. I almost expected multiple Stewies and Bryans to start showing up and arguing with each other. That's the Family Guy, for those who don't know.
That's what people would have thought this was going to be if MacFarlane did time travel on a space sci-fi show.
So, we have Day Free, time travel episode. Oh, well, to be honest, I could have done with less Seth in bed with Theron. The lucky script writing dog and more. Yeah, exactly right. He wrote himself in bed with a beautiful woman. Oh no, how did that happen?
But I think it's funny though.
It's so funny though.
It made it funny.
If we close the wormhole, we're condemning everyone prior ever saved to death. The ending felt a bit too neat, and no screen time was left to consider the ramifications of their actions. I enjoyed the episode, but I did find myself wishing for a bit more oomph that didn't focus on the captain's hangups. The episode needed to be a bit of a leg up. Haha, leg up. But hopefully this episode has set up a scene from an impactful Pryor's return. Hopefully in a way that they remember each other, and Pryor towing along a lover like Mercer, who chose Pryor over his duty. I can see the episode paying off if Theron chooses to reprise her role, since she and Seth have had on-screen chemistry. See, that's the whole, you made it a different timeline. Maybe there was a timeline where Mercer's like, okay, I'll go with you. And then they have like a life together. How cool would that be?
Well, that'd be interesting. But here's the thing, too, though. How do you know the people are going to be safe? We're just taking her word for it.
Yeah,
she could have killed everyone.
But
we don't know what they're going to do.
Here's a funny thing. So if they do like an alternate timeline of Captain Mercer, does he have to have a mustache? That's how you tell the difference between the two. He has a goatee.
Stupid. Yeah.
It's to be just like Spock. That'd be
the evil Spock. Yeah, no.
The evil Mercer. He has a goatee. That's how you tell he's evil.
That'd be great. I would love every second of it.
That would be so beautiful and terrible and horrible and wonderful all at the same time.
Yeah, almost in a Flash Gordon 1980s movie kind of way. Yeah,
the most glorious moment in TV history.
Yep.
So we have Felix Reinhardt. I also had a problem with the time travel paradox, but Major Grin got a pretty good explanation of it on his review of Pryor, and he left a link for that. Haven't checked it out yet, but I love when people really break into the science, because there's people out there that are so much smarter than I am. So I like to hear their points of view.
I want to hear quantum mechanics.
Yeah, because I have just a rudimentary understanding of science fiction versions of science.
Yeah.
So it's really cool when people really go deep into it. There's cool people who do it for Trek too, that go into just like one aspect and they go and they explain it. That's really cool. Yeah. I'll definitely check out that video. Thanks for sharing it.
I think it could be, it could be a good video to watch. We'll give it a look at.
Scoldworm says, Mercer was on the bottom of the captain's available list, which I kind of like. I also think that the Orville either broke a time paradox or split time or created a paradox. That teleporter gadget may become the Deus Machina in the future episode. I'm thinking that's what it is. Something's going to happen. Even though Mercer's like, I don't want to use a technology that we're not supposed to have, but I'm going to save someone or something.
Oh, yeah. They won't be able to get to a person on a planet or something.
As long as he keeps it to himself, I think it should be fine. But you give that technology to like the Union science officers, like they're going to replicate that technology.
Yeah, they're going to have 12 transporters. And it'll be basically like just a Federation ship at that point.
We have Dave Free was responding to that last comment. This feels like one of those episodes where it's best not to think about it too hard, since it's all flippity floppity timey wimeyness. That's That's a Doctor Who thing. He says that. But one question I had for a while got answered. The Union doesn't have transporter tech, which means Mercer is the owner of the only transporter in the Union, unless it disappeared prior. Best not to think too hard. Yeah, because they like the idea that you have to send a shuttle down to the planet. Oh, there's someone stuck there. You have to send someone to go save them. Like, you can't just
I think it's just going to, if they use it like the other person, it's going to be a one-time thing. I don't think Mercer's going to make a habit of using that transporter all the time if he even has it.
So that's going to wrap up the comments. I hope I didn't miss any of them. I'm pretty sure I went through all of them.
No, I think
yeah, some great discussions here, guys. We're touching on aspects of time travels and theories that I didn't even think about. And it's great. I love the community that we're trying to help build with the Orville. I think there's a lot to learn here, a lot to discuss here. And unlike when we talk about Discovery, we get a lot of saltiness and people arguing back and forth and yelling at each other. You didn't get any of this in this comment section.
Not at one time.
It's so crazy how the actual show reflects the fans. Uplifting. And they have their concerns, but they're not, just drones that just go along saying how great and wonderful it is. They have their own ideas and thoughts, and then they have their own theories about things. I love it. I absolutely love this.
Oh yeah, you can't say enough of how the positivity, like you said,
the
Orville, because it's bringing that, it's bringing positive feed because that's what it's presenting.
And the thing too, what I like about this is with me and my brothers, we would talk about this kind of stuff just between like the three of us,
like all the time.
But now we're kind of talking with you guys about it, and it's kind of like that same feeling, but throughout the power of the internet and YouTube. So keep the comments coming. Questions if you want us to cover something else, if you came up with an idea and you want us to cover in a future episode, just let us know. We read through these. And
we try to go through all.
We even read the crazy comments we get from certain people that are just
out there. Like, wow, you can't believe how bad it is. Is this being a troll, or is this just salty on top of salt? Like,
you can disagree, but my goodness, I mean, once you've gotten to like the 30th cuss word in your post, I just go ahead and just delete it.
I don't have ever been that mad at anyone on the internet. Never.
Yeah, again, I guess that's why we're fans of the Orville, because we actually like positivity, and not everything has to be perfect, but I want to look towards the future and think of what could be.
Yeah, and I can see how heavy this episode could be from a sci-fi standpoint, because I know people I talk to, they don't even understand the basic mechanics or basic things about time travel. I can imagine this with all these theories. Yeah. They'd be like, what are you talking about?
But again, a commenter brought this up, the Malloy Isaac subplot brought the levity to the episode, so you're not always thinking about this time paradox stuff, and then a leg falls to the roof. Yeah. It's just like this funny thing. You get Mr. Potato Head face. You get all these fun little things that all these things exist in this world.
Yeah,
time travel and paradoxes, and also you got a robot cutting the dude's leg off.
But again, this is part of Earth's history, even in Star Trek, but they never explored it.
Yeah, that's cool. I love it. So I absolutely love making these videos, these comment videos.
Yeah.
So keep them coming in. Let people know that if you comment on our episodes of the Orville that week, if you have a good comment and it's thoughtful and insightful, we'll read it on thing and we'll do a video about it.
And it doesn't mean it's not devoid of saying any social commentary, but they keep it to a minimum.
They slide it in here and there, but they don't walk out with the sledgehammer and just bash your brains in with it.
To the point you just want to sigh and roll your eyes.
You get a lot of that in Discovery.
Yes.
Oh, animal abuse and stuff like that, and it's just like, okay, we get it, we understand. Pete is, as a ship, we get it.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, be sure to stay tuned and keep watching. And looking forward to the next episode. Looks like it's a lot of fun. I've been avoiding a lot of the previews, but I kind of want to keep it fresh as I see it. Yeah. But the whole idea of them like dressing up as the, using, I don't know if they use, I wonder if they're going to use like a projection type technology, or they're going to use like a prosthetic type technology. I wonder how they're going to solve that. But it's going to be cool. So, thanks for commenting. Thanks for watching the videos, guys. I've said this from the very beginning. I never thought in a million years I would get more than 25 views on a video. 10 views. No. One comment. 1,000 views on some of these videos. I know that's little in the grand scheme of things, but for a couple of guys, brothers just talking about sci-fi, it's just amazing to us. So thank you so much.
I mean, I can't believe anyone would, to the point want to listen to our opinions, to the point where we get overall, 100,000 views overall on all our videos, 100+ thousand.
Yeah, that's crazy. So thank you so very much.
Oh yeah, we're very grateful. Again, if you want to, and please keep listening if you want to, and that would be great.
Like, subscribe, share it on social media. And if you guys share it somewhere, like on Reddit and stuff like that, just kind of let me know, because I see it. I'm like, I wonder what's going on over there. I'm kind of scared to go look at the Reddit comments, because Reddit's been known to be a little more saltier than even YouTube comments. But share it as often, as much as you want, and thanks. Just overall, just thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I want to thank you too.
So, I've been your host, Crimson Sin.
I'm FD, PCA.
Thanks for watching.
See you later. Bye.